Hello, and we are joined right now by my dear friend Scott Johnson of the Instance Podcast, among many other things. Scott, how are you?
Hey, V, it's good to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. So I wanted to bring you on to talk about the state of MMOs and MMORPGs. So WoW lost 1 million subscribers last year. That is a huge number. Why are they hemorrhaging people like this? And is it because of the subscription service? Do they need to change something to keep people from leaving?
Well, it's interesting you say that. I mean, 1 million subscribers lost for a game that once had up to 12 million subscribers seems like a lot, no matter how you paint it. 12, 1 million people is 1 million people, but it is officially more people than most MMOs have as their entire player base. So what is a small 1% or 10% drop in subscriber base for WoW is a complete and utter devastation of another MMO. And I think it's important to look at it in that context. But it does seem to spell something, and there are a lot of factors in this, and you could say, well, this is a 6-year-old game working on 7 years. Its time has come to sort of settle back a little bit. Other competition comes that's somewhat intriguing. People may shift over to that. But I have a sneaking suspicion that this has more to do with the injection of free-to-play models, which are still evolving and are still very young. But we're seeing that come in and pose a real threat that subscription MMOs may not have been prepared for, or at the very least are going to have to change the way they do business in order to either combat or, sort of join the party with. It's kind of hard to tell at this point, but there's going to be some changes.
I know you said that 1 million compared to having over 12 million people is not that big of a difference, but in the grand scheme of things, WoW has always been the 800-pound gorilla in the room that no one thought could ever be toppled. And now they're losing I would say, a significant percentage of their population in recent years. And I have a feeling that the new add-ons, the new stuff coming on with Mist of Pandaria isn't going to be compelling enough to continue to grow that subscriber base.
Well, that's a big question, and it's certainly on the minds of everyone at Blizzard, but also I think the devoted player base of WoW is very curious about what happens when Mist of Pandaria comes. I mean, we hear about these pandas, and we're so excited about playing a panda in a game, and both you and I got to play a little bit of Pandaria action while we were at BlizzCon this year. It isn't the kind of expansion that normally a broad base of hardcore MMO players get super excited about. But this I know for sure, we are in the middle of what we typically call the between expansion slump. And this happens every time, and it certainly happens for WoW. And what happens is you've got people who have finished content, they're done, they've gone all the end game they care to go, and now they're kind of just sort of waiting. And this is an interesting year, and last year too, because we had 2 new subscription MMOs that posed a decent amount of threat to their dominance. That being Rift had a really solid launch. And the Old Republic, Star Wars The Old Republic, which continues to do pretty well. They're nowhere near the player base that WoW continues to have. But it will be interesting to see come, hopefully later this year, we don't know for sure, when Mist is released, if that is enough to bump it back up to the numbers it likes to have. If they get a good 500-person or so injection into the system. The thing to remember, it's really important here. WoW did something, or Blizzard in general did something that nobody's ever tried before, and that is, let's give away another AAA title for free if you, our beloved WoW players, promise to stay with us for a year. We'll give you Diablo 3, you stay with us, you get access to the Mist beta when that comes out, and we're going to, this is our way of keeping you and giving you a free game. That's a pretty big deal, and it seemed to retain probably somewhere in the range of 2 million players as the current guess. And if that's true, that was a successful tactic, and I was one of those who jumped on it. I think a lot of players probably did. So they're having to get creative to maintain this 800-pound gorilla status.
So you mentioned the difference between free-to-play and subscription-based models. And as you said, games like Rift and Star Wars The Old Republic are still going on with that subscription model. Is that proving that model is still viable, or are they still holding on to an earlier time?
Okay, it is viable, I believe, to a point. And then the thing I'm going to tell you at the end of this changes everything. All bets are off. But as it stands right now, what you've seen is a lot of other MMOs that have been pretenders to the throne come, try their best to be a good subscription model-based MMO, and then go to free-to-play. Games like Star Trek Online, games like the most recent switchover was DC Universe Online, which is, by the way, a fantastic free-to-play MMO. And they've all said, everybody who's done this, have come forward and said, look, we've got like 300% increase in players. We're making more money than we did with subscriptions. It's a great model for people who can't maintain the subscription model. The problem is The market looks like it can only really handle 1 to 2 major MMOs that want you to pay monthly to play them. Beyond that, you're not going to be able to share that player base. So I think what you'll end up seeing is one of these other 2 dominant players, probably Rift is my guess, go free to play at some point.
So I got a question then.
Go ahead.
If you don't mind, you mentioned, we'll take DC Universe Online as an example here. Obviously, they started off with a traditional subscription model, and then they went free to play. Could they have done much, much better if they launched as free to play? Wouldn't that be a bigger hype engine that would get so many more people into the game right from the beginning? Like, obviously, they got a lot of money from subscribers during that window that they were charging month to month, but could they have made more money by generating more interest by just launching free to play right from the beginning?
Well, you're not wrong about that. I think that they probably would have done better out of the gate. It would have been a different kind of expectation on the part of players. And their model they've chosen to go with is an interesting one. That game, for all intents and purposes, is fully playable. There's not a lot of sort of nickel and diming happening as you level in that game. Where the extra money comes from is, I want the Flash expansion. I want this certain villain expansion. It's $10. They're reasonable prices for reasonable chunks of content. But for the most part, people are able to play that game completely through without having to deal with spending a dime. And it's working for them, and people are paying for those bonus pieces of content. So yes, they would have, but you got to remember, Brian, everybody who gets into this market, they want Blizzard money. They want WoW status. They want that piece of the pie.
They're seduced by the opportunity. Right. They're buying lottery tickets, hoping to be the next big thing.
You're exactly right. Now, here's what changes everything, and this is really the major point I want to make. You could even see WoW one day going free to play, or bigger chunks of it going free to play. Rift is already 20 levels of free to play that just launched. You're going to see these companies try different things to stay afloat with their existing games. But whatever Blizzard is doing with Titan, codename Titan, we don't know what that game is yet. Whatever that is, I think all bets are off. Blizzard can make something and say it's 20 a month and it's 80 to buy it, and millions will still do it. So I'm not saying they're sticking to a subscription model for Titan. I don't know that for sure. And there's a lot of rumors that it will be some sort of free-to-play model. But whatever it is, anybody else in that business has to be nervous, and I will never count Blizzard out when it comes to new projects. They know what they're doing. So whatever the crap Titan is, everybody's going to have to just sort of go throw their hands up and say, well, how do we compete now in this new paradigm, like we had to compete in the WoW paradigm? And like it or not, that is the business of MMOs at the state.
Well, it sounds to me like you're saying that basically Blizzard is unbeatable. That there's not, what can another company do to possibly even catch up at this point, if what you're saying is true?
Well, I don't. I'm is
$1 million question, right? If you knew that, you'd make your own MMO.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as much as I think that Blizzard has incredible staying power, and I think that what they make, people definitely pay attention to. They're one of these companies that can run their own annual convention, whose tickets sell out in 3 seconds, and fill a convention hall with 60,000 people if they so choose to. They are able to do a lot and wield a lot of power in this business, and it's because they take the time it takes that is needed to make amazing AAA titles, and they've never let people down. Now, Warcraft 3 may not be somebody's cup of tea, but it's plenty of people's cup of tea, and it's an amazing experience, and they did really well with it. They are a threat because of their commitment to quality and their desire to only put out games that are of the best quality, of the most polished, the most finished. They put out alphas that feel like finished games from other companies. And because they're willing to do that and put the money at stake to do it, they will always be a huge threat. Can they fail? Absolutely, anybody can. But I would not, if I was a betting man, you just said, here's 50 grand, which one do you want to bet on? I will always bet on Blizzard. At least at this stage, they have yet to make a major misstep. And that has to make people like BioWare and like Tryon and everybody else a little bit nervous, because whatever's coming next, it's going to be a big freaking deal, and we're all going to have to play.
So Brian and I have basically argued incessantly about the purchasing of downloadable content in order to sustain a game like Team Fortress 2, for example. So where do you fall on that barometer? Are you more into paying a monthly fee and getting the full game, the most game possible, or are you more into getting the baseline game and then paying for additional content as you go?
Well, outside of giving my opinion on this Mass Effect thing, which I'm totally excited for that game, I can't wait. Mass Effect is a fantastic experience, and I'm super stoked for the 6th. I think the DLC thing is weird, but when it comes to MMOs, there is a sense with players who've been doing this a long time. I've been playing MMOs since really, Ultima Online I played forever ago. So I've been playing them for a long time. Lots of different models have come and gone. WoW kind of turned that whole thing upside down and turned this small, weird business into this huge juggernaut. And having seen all of that, there's a piece of me that likes a curated monthly fee and a curated game based on those monthly fees, meaning it's just there's the fee, but then everything's open to you. And there's no weirdness about, well, if you want this better sword, we need $5. If you want this better quest, then you need to pay us 10 or whatever. There's just this nice feeling that somebody's taking care of you, and they've made players feel that way. And so when something free to play comes along, we just kind of go, I don't know about this new way of playing video games, and we kind of aren't sure about it. I feel like it's generational, and I feel like there will be a class of gamers who are growing up right now who are more than happy, as are their parents, to play DC Universe Online because it's free, and they find out it's a good game, and they don't have these stigmas about whether it's free to play or whether it's something you had to pay monthly for. That forward is what will change things. I think that a lot of us are stodgy, and we're like, well, we like this curated thing. So all of that being said, I think my bottom line on this is, if the game is great, compelling, and draws us in all the time, I don't think whether it's free or going to cost us money is to make the big difference. The goal is it a compelling experience? If it is, the players will come. And right now, Blizzard is the best at creating these compelling experiences. Others do well in some places and terrible in other ways, but they've got the market cornered a little bit. It's all about what competition can rise up, copy their model of success, because there is a model there. People are just afraid to follow it because it costs them a lot of money and a lot of extra time to really polish things. But if they'll do that, Blizzard maybe has a chance to move over a little bit and let somebody else come in.
All right, and real fast, what games are you looking forward to coming up in the future?
Holy crap. So Mass Effect 3 is a big deal for me. I'm totally excited about that. I'm really excited about the DLC path for Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, which you guys had Kurt Schilling on a few episodes ago. Mm-hmm. I really like that game. I'm having a fantastic time with it. But the things I'm looking forward to most this year, probably overall, are on the PC and mostly indie titles. I'm having so much fun with things like Dear Esther. What a weird freaking deal that was. I'm playing a game called Pineapple Smash Crew.
Yeah, I saw you playing that.
That game is so good. It's ridiculous. But these independent titles that are coming out on the PC these days, and so relatively cheaply, are just really tickling my fun bone. And I'm you may want to edit that part out. But I love these kind of games. I hope this year is full of indie goodness, and can't wait to see what some of these smaller developers bring.
All right, Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, you can find all of Scott's shows over on frogpants.com, and he is on Twitter at Scott Johnson now. You lost the extra life.
I did. It's
going legit.
You got your real name. You got to go for it.
I know it. Don't I know it? And you got the morning stream every morning at 10, what is it, 10 a.m.?
It's 10 Eastern, so it's so you guys, in your time, it's 7 a.m. for you West Coasters. But it's myself and Brian Ibbett every Monday through Thursday. We do a morning show every day, and it's a blast. But frogpants.com's got it all. They should head over there and check it out.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the show, and we'd love to have you back again sometime.
Thanks very much.